So hello everyone to my new save for Football Manager 24. We are on the beta. Don't think that because we're on the beta though means this can't be a long-term save. Most people do just a quick one season and done. I'm not planning to do that. I want to try and go a little bit longer, get more integrated into this new system by experiencing it a little bit more in full, finding out how tactics work, what regressions like, what progressions like for players and tactics, etc. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I've decided to go with West Ham because I think they are one of the most interesting teams in English football, period. They are really, like, for the past 20, going up on 30 years now, they have been so interesting. No two seasons are the same for West Ham. They have had legends of the Premier League, they've had cult heroes, they've had some of the worst players, they've had some of the best players, the likes of Payet, Di Canio, Mascherano, Tevez. You've also got guys like Kevin Nolan, Mark Noble, just great players, beloved. They've also had some of the worst players you can think of, and a lot of in between. One of the teams I remember loving from West Ham was we had like Payet, and then also like Mauro Zarate, and I think Samuel Eto'o or something. It's terrible, but West Ham, Everton, and Newcastle are three of those teams who just feel like such a proper Premier League team. Newcastle currently are obviously having the best time of their history, even including Champions League and Alan Shearer, because of that obscene money they've got Saudi Arabia. Everton are the complete opposite. They are probably the worst they've been over a substantial amount of time. For the past like 3 or so seasons since Ancelotti's left, they have been horrifically bad. So I decided to go with West Ham, who are a team who are. And this will mean with interest in that in the Europa League this season. They won the Conference League last season. Same time, everyone seems to think that they're, you know, coming up on relegation now. Something needs to change. The squad's apparently not good enough, but the squad's also really good. David Moyes isn't good enough, but David Moyes is also the best manager they've had since Bilic. It's constantly bouncing back and forth. No one can quite put their finger down. And I felt like that as well with this team. I didn't know where and how and what this team is and what it wants to do. And that's kind of a problem with West Ham this past couple of years under Moyes is a possession-based team with lots of very high-quality players who can work the ball around and incredible midfield. And then the past has been a work rate team, high aggression, lots of strength, very physical team with likes of Antonio and Soucek, Soufal. It constantly seems to bounce back and forth, and every season it feels like they've got brand new squads. Every season they have signed players who you go, bloody hell, they signed them. For example, when I looked here, I did not know they had Edson Alvarez until I signed this. Did not know they had Mavropanos until I looked at this. Last season, guys like Flynn Downs, who's now out on loan, even though I think he's great, and Maxwell Cornet, just players seem to appear. So I'm trying to put my finger down on this team, trying to establish an identity, trying to get the London Stadium to be a little bit more of a fortress that it hasn't been from since they moved into the London Stadium. And my first idea, so this is a tatter by the way, it's trying to be kind of what I said with it isn't quite anything. Playing a little bit shorter, but we're not playing super short. We're playing a bit of a high tempo, but not super high. Waiting to one of the boss, we're not playing out to the fence, playing a little bit wide. My main thing is to try and use the speed. That's why we've got passing to space and run to defence. We're being a bit more expressive because there's a lot of in the offense. Every player, like these three here, are all extremely good on the ball, very good physically, both in terms of strength and speed. Same with Danny Ings. They have a lot of technical, physical ability, so I'm trying to abuse that as best as we can. In terms of set pieces, that's also where James Ward-Prowse comes in terms of offensive set pieces, I'm going for near post, in swingers, very aggressive type of corners, because that's what I think Ward-Prowse is best at. In defensive, we're going for quite the counter-attacking style. A lot of people in that box, two up top, but two very fast players in, I think it is, Bowen and Kudish. So that's the idea, and that's what the idea throughout the entire tactic is, to be a bit in your face, don't give them too much time. You know, we're pressing really high up, stopping that goalkeeper distribution. When we win the ball, trying to counter, trying to move the ball quickly, and just catch teams off the break. And whether that be a team better than us or worse than us, either way we're going to we're going to have a good chance, because the whole point is just don't let them have the ball. Doesn't matter if they're a good or a bad team. If you don't have the ball, you're a nothing team. And the first thing I decided to do was look at who did I want to sell. And the three players who popped up to me was Angelo Ogbonna, Kurt Zouma, and where is he? He might have already been sold today, is Pablo Fornals. Ogbonna at 35 years old. We have a very talented back line, so it makes sense. Fornals physically isn't good enough. I quite like him in the central midfield role, but we have a lot of very good central midfielders, so I'm trying to use that central midfield as a bit more of a work rate style. Technical playmaker I don't think fits. And then Kurt Zouma, I didn't really want to sell him, but he could be better technically. He's great physically, very decent mentally, but amazing physically. However, I just see that £65 million is what we're getting from either Al Ittihad, Al Nassr, or Al Hilal. And that's just too good to pass up. So if we can get £65 million for a player like Kurt Zouma, when you compare that with, we got £100 million for Declan Rice, only 21.5 for someone like Scamacca, I think we're doing really well there, and we should, in theory, with that type of money, if we get 65 million, I think we've got about 20 million already. And that, I might need to rename him. We've hired Alan Johnson, not the kiddie fiddler. This guy, he doesn't, he isn't, Gumball's World of Revenge or anything, none of that. He's a performance analyst who worked with England and West Brom. We brought him in. We've actually also took another guy from West Brom, hopefully, I should say, which is Tony Strudwick, the head of sports science. He's great. We've got a couple of the very fun staff members coming in. One of us. You had a new member of staff. I want to apologise very quickly. I do have a little bit of a cold, but I wanted to, first things first, just come in and show you the team, explain sort of the plans of what I'm trying to do, and hopefully that makes sense. So in terms of the team and my plans with West Ham, it's a little bit simple. I want to make them established towards the top, not necessarily win the Premier League 5 years in a row, because it's not fun. Once you win the Premier League once in FM, you might struggle the second time. Once you win it that second time, you are pretty comfortable then, in terms of you are going to win the league more times than not. We'll talk about what you can all see on the screen in a minute. Going to win the league more times than not. So it's not as fun. The focus becomes on the Champions League, and that is kind of a put your hand in a box and see what comes out type of thing. You could go very well. You can have that one bad match, and either way, for whatever reason, it doesn't work. But good news, it looks like we may be selling Pablo Fornals. Torino are willing to pay most of their wages. I'm very happy with £7.25 million up front, £6.5 million over 2 years, so we're getting nearly £14 million, but that was including some of the loan fees, so altogether it comes up to nearly £15 million, to exactly what we wanted, and I think Torino is a very realistic destination point for him. Preston North End are interested in Luizao, and to be honest, with the fact we've got Kehra, Mavropanos, and I don't think Ogbonna's leaving, I'm happy to allow Luizao to go to the Championship, because it would give Ogbonna, he would have that fifth choice centre back role, which I think fits him, and it would allow Luizao to progress better, because he's playing regularly for a Championship level team instead of playing once or twice for the Premier League level team. The rest I'm more than happy to let go, even though I do really like this guy, Keelan Casey. I like him in terms of if he could grow those physicals. I think he's a pretty good player. He has potential. Not sure if he'll ever reach that, because it is about him sort of going to the gym a lot, getting faster, getting stronger. Monaco are also interested, and they actually want to pay a lot more money. If I can just bump up these wages by like 100% when he's playing, boom, more than happy with that. If I was wondering, why is my manager Joey Quinn? Who's Joey Quinn? What's a Joey Quinn? No, it's not me. Joey Quinn was a old cult hero. Brought him in, even though this is my first save on YouTube. I like to use cult heroes, like regenerated players, no matter what. If we don't get to the point of a cult hero in this save who's regenerated, I will likely use another one from FM23, and then going into FM25 in my second save, which will probably be a Hall of Fame challenge. We'll talk about that more when it comes to it. But yeah, that's why Joey Quinn's there. Let's talk about David De Gea, because he explains the plan with West Ham. So, the reason I'm looking at David De Gea is that we have a 38-year-old goalkeeper here. We have Alfonso Areola at 30 years old, valued at nearly £30 million. They're both solid goalkeepers. Are they top Premier League goalkeepers? Probably not. Areola's close. Fabianski was. Neither of them are quite at level yet, and probably never will be. I like Alfonso Areola. I like Fabianski, but I feel like we could make an improvement on that, and that's where David De Gea comes in. For 1 year, I feel like David De Gea could be a very good signing. If it's 1 to 2 years as a goalkeeper, no, he's not going to improve us moving out the back. Yeah, he's not the greatest in terms of those mental attributes. He's a player who is very set in stone. He's great aerially. He's got great handling, really, really good reflexes and agility. And he's someone who's got great positioning. He is just going to stay in that box, catch things, and kick them quite far, which I'm fine with. And which, thing is, Areola and Fabianski are no better on the ball. Fabianski is good at throwing the ball, 14 throwing, and he loves to use that to start counter-attacks. But he isn't good on the ball. 11 passing, 12 kicking. He's not great on the ball. Areola's even worse. A little bit worse throwing, a little bit worse passing, a little bit worse kicking. Might be a little bit better kicking. But the point's the same. Because on the ball, all three of those goalkeepers mentioned aren't that great. So if we could just bring in someone who, there is no argument, he is one of the best shot stoppers in the history of Premier League. He has, over many years, over his time at United, was one of the best, if not the best goalkeeper in the league. At some points had arguments for the best goalkeeper in the world, though he was never better than Neuer. I will stand by that. He was never, during those great seasons, better than Neuer. So I think it makes sense, and I want to at least talk to his agent, because we can sign one player no matter what. We have 2 players who are likely to leave, so it leaves us with 3 players we can bring in. So we wouldn't necessarily have to sell Areola or Fabianski. Whilst I'd probably try to sell Areola, we wouldn't have to, and it would allow me to bring in a very good player. So the agent, they're saying, look, we don't want much. We just want to play. We want like 40 grand and a contract for 2 years. Exactly what we said. So he's willing to come in as an important player, get paid pennies compared to the other goalkeepers in this team. 36.5 grand to become our new starting goalkeeper. And this is the whole point with West Ham. We aren't trying to be cheap. We aren't trying to be this like overpowered football manager, if that makes sense. Like, so when you watch a ton of YouTube videos and it goes one of 2 ways. Either they buy Christian Benteke and they go, haha, how funny is it we bought Benteke? Or they buy, Lamine Yamal and Pedri and Endrick. They buy Warren Zaire-Emery. They buy all these great young players. They sign some random Slovenian striker who's 6'5", has 83,000 pace and acceleration and 12 finishing. He scored 102 goals in his first season. And they go, wow, I can't believe it, we've won League One. And you go, well, no, like, shut your mouth. like, you didn't win a thing. Your tactics are basic. They are meta at best. Do you know, like, they are playing the same, like, Mazzala, box-to-box midfielder and a Roman playmaker. They're playing advanced forward with a deep line forward and another advanced forward, and say, well, three up top's overpowered, but it's my cool asymmetric tactic. Shut up. You're not doing anything fun. You're spamming the same old things, and you'll do the same next season. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to do something that's realistic, that's fun, that's engaging. There's going to be a lot of times during this save. We're probably going to like 4 or 5 years. May take longer, maybe shorter. Plan to do that. And the idea is we are going to end up in a situation where we have a really good young player and we have some shocking signings and we sold terrible. At one point we were 4th and we scraped into 4th and it was great. Next season we finish in 9th. We go, wow, what did we do wrong? And we don't win an FA Cup for ages. We never challenge for the Premier League. Instead of in 2 seasons we're challenging for the Premier League because we've just signed all the best youngsters and we've looked on FM Scout and gone to the Steam Workshop and cheekily got a short list of the best young players and claimed you scouted them, claimed you found them, and for some reason your saves always end before they get to the regens when they're really good, you know. For some reason all your players are real players, apart from that one really obvious good youngster regen who popped up at Barcelona and never got playing time, so got put on the transfer list. That's not fun. None of that's fun. We all know you're being cheap. We all know you're playing the game, as a spreadsheet. I'm not trying to play. I'm trying to play this like you could literally sit down and go, yeah, in real life, do I see West Ham signing David De Gea? And do you, under David Moyes, especially if you think like right now for this first season we're gonna still be signing players like David Moyes, do you see David Moyes going, do you know what? I'd love to get David De Gea. I loved working with him at Man United. Thought he was a great player. I feel like we need to improve that goalkeeping position where Fabianski is too old and Areola is too inconsistent. Let's bring in David De Gea, give him the reins of the castle. You know, so that's the plan. That's the plan for this West Ham team, is to be realistic to a fault. If like we will make mistakes because I will look at a player who is really good, but we'll look at the average ratings of him for the last 3 seasons and go, do you know what? He scored 7 goals, and then he scored 2, then he scored 5, and he had an average rating of 6.43. He's not a very good player. Yes, the stats say he's a good player, but he doesn't look it. He's 25 years old. No team's going to buy him and put him as your starting guy. I hope that makes sense. I really hope it does. David De Gea's trial is coming to an end, but I'd love to know if there are any players who you think would make sense for West Ham. Again, remember, we're going to be able to spend a little bit more money than we usually would in a West Ham save because we're expecting to get about 65 million right now. So if we say we have let's say we have 70 million to spend and we've got whatever wages we can, is there a player there who you think, yeah, I'd love to get? Now, I'd like to do one last thing, which is try and sell Areola if we can. And this is one of my favourite new things in this game, is asking agents to sell. He has no interest, but to be honest, I'm more than happy to sign an intermediary to help sell him because he is on 120 grand a week. To be a backup and to maybe even be a third choice goalkeeper, then I think that'd be great. Oh no, so we're gonna have to try and sell him ourselves. So we're gonna put him on the unwanted list. We're gonna say like 15 million, not much. Well, 15 million for a solid goalkeeper who's played at top levels. But anyway, thank you all for watching. I hope this save goes on to be as fun as I think it could be. I think West Ham are one of the most fun teams in the history of the Premier League. I really do think they are so fun, and every season you've got to keep an eye out on what a West Ham up to. Every transfer window, who have they bought, who have they sold, because it's always so weird and interesting, and it is a lot of fun. But yeah, thank you all. Please put in who you think would be interesting, for me at least. Obviously, I'm looking for someone to replace Kurt Zuma, and he is gone. So we'll get about 62 million. So in terms of players who I'm currently scouting, these are some of the guys at Translist. I'm looking at someone like McTominay, someone who I think can maybe improve our midfield, someone to replace Kurt Zuma, and maybe a better right back to replace Sufal. The last option, and probably the one I will go for, is a elite left winger, someone who can maybe take over the roles of Lucas Paqueta on that left wing and allow Paqueta to play a little bit more of a fun role in the middle. Who knows? But definitely the main goal is to replace Kurt Zuma and to try and find something. Just, who do you think? Because I'm not sure actually. Like, I felt like I was confident. I'm not sure where to improve. I definitely think the midfield is something. Questions up to you guys. How do we improve the midfield? Do we sign an attacker, move Paqueta back? Do we sign a midfielder? Is it going to be a starter midfielder? Is it going to be a substitute midfielder? Or do we go a little bit away from midfield, try and improve somewhere else? It's entirely up to you. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you for the next episode, where I'll make some signings. I'm not going to spend all the money. Make some signings, and I'll try and get us up to the first game of the season. Thank you all. Up the Hammers, forever blowing bubbles, whatever you want to say. West Ham are fucking weird, aren't they?